Hello traders, it's Samurai Trader here. Welcome to this session, how to day trade any market, the $1,000 a day challenge. So we're now up to session 90. Now if $1,000 is not enough for you each day, you increase your position size, you start trading more contracts. However, we never ever forget our money management rules, and of course what I cover in these sessions, you apply the exact same setups to any futures market, Forex or stock market. So need to get the disclaimer over and done with. Traders, we do know there's a risk in trading. Don't trade with money that you can't afford to lose. And the great thing about most modern trading platforms, you can trade on the simulator, that is trading paper money, until you go live. And I'm going to be showing you a couple of options very soon, how you can start with a really small account and build. Now, very quick advertisement: if you haven't already downloaded The Truth About Day Trading, my ebook, please go to the description link below. Please subscribe to my channel so you can be kept up to date with all of my latest videos. Better still, become a member. That is, make no mistake traders, this is a $10,000 program. I'll be really quick with this, but this is important. There's no need to spend thousands of dollars on your day trading career. Okay, save your money for your trading account. For $197 you get all of my indicators. If I don't have indicators for your particular trading platform, I give you the indicator settings to use, so you can use just about every or any common indicator that's on every trading platform. Hopefully that made sense. But I've got free indicators for TradeStation, NinjaTrader 7, 8, MT4, Thinkorswim, and there are hundreds of hours of online training. Now when I say online training, by the way, I talk a lot about, I might as well bring this up now, the Goldilocks rule. And this is really important when it comes to mastering the art of day trading. Is, not too hard, not too easy, just right. You only want to learn just a couple of really a few setups when you start day trading or your day trading career. In fact, what I'm going to be showing you today, the trades I took, were all trend following trades. These are the trades that I would be recommending that you actually trade yourself. So $197, as well as that, you can attend 8 of my live coaching sessions. So I run every Tuesday and Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I run 2-hour classes where I'm teaching traders everything from the psychology of trading through to money management, through to how to trade the setups, and that's included as a bonus. So all of that for only $197. Now after month 1, if you wish, you can drop me an email and then continue for $97 a month, cancel at any time. But you're not automatically signing up for that, so there's no further debits from your credit card, etc. So hopefully by the time we finish your session, you'll go, wow, I want this. So let's now get into this. Now what I actually did, I started to record this session and for my members, and we'll go to the recording. But what I failed to do, traders, was I don't know what I did with the sound. So there's no sound on it, so I'm going to play some of it in the background very soon, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing and at the time, because unfortunately you can see me moving around with the mouse and whatever, but you can't hear me. So first of all, I trade 5 lots. I don't trade 100. This suits me, a great lifestyle. I'm semi-retired. I'm in my 60s. If you're a young gun, of course you might want to earn this every couple of hours, okay? Or your goal may be $5,000-$10,000 a day, which there's a lot of professional day traders out there doing that. However, that's not the majority. So I'm going to walk you through these trades. Now in fact, I had 3 great trades here, and I was up after commissions $12.92. But then once I'd finished your recording and finished the session, I then pushed my luck and I went for another trade that was just off screen, and I got stopped immediately. Now the challenge with this trade is I know better. That is, I sold directly into all of these flat EMAs. Now if we go back to this one here, we can see here that we've got some flat EMAs, but we've also got some what we call running room into those. Okay, and so and we'd had 1 2 3, there'd been back here there was a couple as well. We've been coming back to the 200 EMA, and when you keep coming back to having such deep pullbacks, we usually expect to change market direction. Well, that wasn't to be. However, we were deadpan flat, and I sold there and I got stopped out immediately. So I'd actually finished my trading. I thought, right, that's it for the day, hit my daily target, which is 1,000 a day, happy as a pig in poo, so let's wrap it up. But I got a little bit greedy. Now what then happened was then a beautiful double top, which I didn't jump on. Okay, and if we look at that here, so for members here, you can see what we've got there. We've got T12s with great divergence, so it was a great potential setup. So I sat back for a few minutes, and then I had this trade 5 set up. I wanted to get back because it had knocked me back to about $900 net. So I then sold here, which is what we call a 3B, and then I had a T10 set up. So I jumped on the T10, and I then got out here down here at the pivots, and I was up 1550. So I got out. I thought, oh, I want to get out and just finish up for the day. I was actually quite peeved about this particular setup here. Now I wrapped that up, and so that was a good outcome. But what I want to show you also is just after that, because was this just a fluke? And you've seen many of my videos hopefully, and you know, this is a typical day. And you know, and straight after there were probably another good 10 trades in a row, trend following. So there's some great opportunities. But before we get to the charts and the recordings, this is where I want to plant the seed in your mind. This would be a game changer for 98% of a population, $1,000 a day. Now let's talk about realistic targets. And I know if you've seen my videos, you've seen this. I want this to really sink in, because all of a sudden when you start to believe it's achievable and you start to take action towards your goal, you're going to get there. So if you really want to get to 5,000 a week, which is for 98% of the population, and let's just say after holidays 200,000 plus a year, working part-time from home, how do we do that? 10 contracts by only $100 a day. Now I'll show you that on the screen how we do that. It's very straightforward. Now now let me just come back here where I say it's very straightforward. Trading is 90% psychology, and this is the stuff that once again losing traders don't want to hear. That is, we break our rules continually by for an example, what I did there with that trade. Okay, selling, we call that, by the way, the ice cream sandwich zone. Okay, selling directly into flat major EMAs. You got spaghetti. You shouldn't do that. Okay, and so fortunately trading can be very forgiving if overall you're following the rules in the long term. Now as you gain experience, you can then step it up where you go for a realistic $300 a day, which is $3,000 a day. For most people, I tend to find, gee, if I could be earning $500 to $1,000 a day, I would be very happy with that. Well, I'm going to show you how to realistically do that. But there are certain rules, and actually I might even come back to this one, because what I do want to quickly do is this. If you haven't already seen this, and even if you've got $4, $5, $10, $20,000, I want you to just listen for a couple of minutes to what I have to say here. Start small, miss small. Make all the mistakes you're going to make on a micro account. A micro account is 10% of the value of a big contract. Now I'm talking here about trading what we call a 4-tick Renko chart, which I'll show you. For the experienced traders here, this is during the Globex session. Of course you can't trade a 4-tick during the New York session, it's too fast. Or you can on oil and some of the other markets. And by the way, if you trade using a tick chart, a time-based chart, a volume chart, Heikin-Ashi, you apply the exact same setups to those charts. I prefer Renko, It's easier for new traders to learn. They smooth out price action. There's many benefits. But here you start off with $400 and going for $20 a day. In 12 weeks your account is up to $4,000 basically. And how this compound table works, unlike some of the rubbish you see on the internet, is you only start trading an extra contract every time you double your money. So you go from 400 to 800, start trading 2. Go to 1200, you can start trading 3. We're using the market's money. Then by week 12 we can roll over now and start trading the big contract. Now a lot of traders out there will say, well, you don't need $4,000 to trade the NQ, or 2.5 to trade the YM, or whichever market you wish to trade. But yes, you do. And the reason being, traders, we never ever risk any more than 2% of our account on any one trade, or should I say on any open trades. This is absolutely critical, and this is where so many traders are greedy. They want to put up there and think, gee, this is looking great, high probability setups, let's risk 5%. The trading gods know you're doing that, and they come and drain your trading account. What this means, by applying discipline, patience, the right money management rules, is that within 12 weeks we're basically up to our $10,000 a week. We've now got close to 50,000 in our account. Okay, this is the reality. Now if you're trading, say, a higher time frame during the New York hours, you can earn $400, $600, $800, $1,000 a contract. But once again, that's not the majority of the traders, that's a minority. Now this is about having a realistic, achievable plan. You start off with a micro of 400. Yes, you need a trading platform. For an example, you can lease NinjaTrader. I forget how much per month it is, but it's well under $100. Or you can buy it outright. You can go to TradeStation or there are other trading platforms. So you need that, but you don't need a huge trading account. Now once you go from the simulator to a real account, that is, you do not start trading even a $400 account until you've mastered the setups on the simulator. I want you to remember that what you're actually doing is creating muscle memory. So and I know for some of you watching this, and I know even for some of our members, is $400 is peanuts to them, and if you blow 400, so what? Top it up. But what you're actually doing is creating negative pathways. Okay, so it's very important that you approach this as a profession. Now in 12 weeks you're there, and a further 12 weeks we're now up to the potential income of 10,000 a week. Now time's going to pass anyway. Where do you want to be financially in 24 weeks? Now another one of the questions that comes up, well, this is great, Ray, how many hours a day do I need to put in? I'm going to say as a minimum, and I know some of you will switch off and you won't become members, but that's fine, that's okay, because I want members that are serious about a career. Otherwise they send your emails, they're complaining and whatever. But you need to be allowing 2 hours a day, or at least 3 days a week where you can put in more than 2 hours. Okay, this is about pattern recognition. It's not difficult what we do. In fact, some of it's easy. Well, if it's easy, why doesn't everyone make money? Because sometimes, traders, the easy things are easy not to do, and that's a critical thing. You see, winning traders are willing to do the things that losing traders won't do. So we're going to go to, well, I'll try the replay first. Okay, let's see how we go with this replay. I don't know what it's going to be like here, but let's give it a go. But here are some absolute critical factors. Now for many traders or brand new traders, you will know probably very little about these levels. Virtually every modern trading platform now will plot these automatically for you, or just very easy to recognize, but they're absolutely critical in your success. But they're also easy to learn. Okay, so we want to be checking where are our pivot levels, where are the prior days open, high, low, and close, our major EMAs. You know that trade I just showed you I got stopped on? Flat 89s and 200s are evil. All right, particularly when you've got a confluence of all of your EMAs at that area. Where are your intraday swing highs and lows? That is, you get little swings there, and the reason being they become price magnets. And of course the current days high and low, and actually we really should put in there current days open, high and low, because that can also act as a price magnet. So let's give this a go. So what I've got here, and we'll look at this on the charts, by the way, we'll go because I want to show you what happened after this. Now unfortunately it's very hard for me to keep these videos short because I want to give you massive value when I show you these, so they usually run a good 30-45 minutes, because hey, if you're going to make a decision about becoming a day trader or changing the way the things you've been doing in the past, you've got to have the right information, and I'm prepared to show you that. So let's start here. So first of all, this was a 3B, and that would have been a 3B. I wasn't on that one, so I executed this trade, and nice little trade entry down to here, not this one. I'll explain this in a moment. And I thought, oh, I might just do some recording. I should record these. So excuse me, just cough then. So what I had just down here, notice this bouncy trade is just there and there and almost here. This is the current day's open, and so these levels you see all the time, they act as support resistance areas. So I missed it by a couple of ticks, and let's now start this. So what I was looking for here was another short trade. So this is real price action ticking over just here. Now I've got a resting order setting here, a sell stop order, waiting or anticipating a reversal up here somewhere. Okay, so what you'll see me do is drag my order up as I start to calculate where I want to put my entry in. And so for members watching this, I'm watching of course the anchor chart 1. So I'm watching the anchor chart 1 and the bar status indicator. So that's telling me basically when to get ready. So you'll actually see me, and by the way, this goes for 20 minutes. I'm going to fast forward some of this as we go along, just so we're not watching it for the full 20 minutes, because once again I want to get to the charts. And so here I've got a sell stop order in just here. So and I'll adjust that. If the market keeps rallying up, I'll keep lifting my order up until it's no longer, there it is there. So it popped down, and I then had a trade not long after. Well, obviously I'd pause the recording, and so I'm now in this trade, and you can see down here I've got a target. Now this is where quite often I'll then increase my target and go for a larger target when I've got a major area of support or resistance above or below me. Okay, now I do want to just pause this and show you this here, because this is important. So where I talk about netting $200 a day and being extremely realistic, you know, the big question is then, okay, sounds great, but then how do we do it? That is, what steps do I need to take to achieve this goal? So if you're trading the 4 tick, never risking more than 2%, or $400, risking more than $8 on the micro, what I need to achieve on average is what we call 6-step trades. I need between 4 and 5 6-step trades a day. Now I'll show you what I mean by steps when I go back to the chart. Now on $200 a day, let me just remind you, $200 a day, look where you are in 12 weeks, basically a $10,000 a week income, trading basically 10 to 12 contracts. Now the point here is, traders, what are the best of the best trades that are going to get you there? They're going to be major EMA bounces. Now there's a little more to that. Of course, you need to understand the money management and the targets and all that sort of thing, but I'm going to show you how these 6-step to 7 steps are extremely achievable. So if I scroll down here, how you only require 4 6-step trades a day. That is 2Bs. That's what you're after. We call them 2Bs. Now you gain experience. You're starting to lift your skill set. Okay, now we can jump up to 250 a day, and maybe even through. I'm not even going to show you the $300 a day concept. Now, by the way, for those experienced traders watching this, you can actually trade using a 12 tick stop if you use my super scalper. However, for members watching this, it means also you don't have the AC1 candle closing. So here you could get that down, and it blows these figures out of water, but you certainly can if you're just using the super scalper for your entries. But down here, 250 a day, look where you are there. 13 weeks, 13,000 a week income. How to, oops, same thing, but oh, there it is there. If I'm going for my 6 steps, I only need 5 trades a day, or if I achieve 7, and I'll show you what that is in a moment, and how to get the 7 is more important. You need 4 of those net after any losses. So getting back to this, and just so everyone's very clear, I call these steps. So on the Renko, you can see you're stepping down or you're stepping up. Now on this particular time frame, each step, this is what we call a 4-tick Renko. So each, from the high to the low of each one of these candles or bricks, as Renko means, that's worth $20, but each step is worth $10. So to achieve 250 a day, you need 4 7-step trades a day. 4 7-step trades a day. As you can see, all of these are much greater than 7. And once again, we're going to go to the live charts in a moment, and I'll show you there's a lot of them. But there's specific things you're looking for when you're looking for the deeper retracements and the larger moves. But the smaller moves, such over here, it's called a T10 just there, they can be very sweet too and still be great trades. So let's go back to this for a moment. Now, quite often traders will ask me, how long does it take before realistically I could be day trading live? And I say to everyone, allow at least 90 days. Excuse me one moment. Give yourself that 90 to 180 days. You can trade the rest of your life. There's only one way to learn how to trade, and that's the right way. And yes, as I said earlier, I could sell a stack more courses and coaching, whatever, by giving you some big line and saying you can master this in 30 days. It's just not true unless you're already an experienced trader. Okay, if you're an experienced trader, you'll pick these setups up. They're all rules-based, they're patterns, they're logical. Okay, and if you're thinking, oh, these won't work on my market, well, traders, the only way these setups will not work is if you're trading into chop, or, and I'll explain what I've just done here in a moment, or you're trading the wrong time frame or exiting the trade too early. So let me tell you what I've just done. So for members watching this, I just had a 3B just here, and then I had a T10 set up. So I decided to add to my position. Okay, so you can see down here, and if I remember correctly, this is from yesterday, so I can't remember exactly. That's a long time in my world. Okay, so here, short of this, let me just start. I think I'll probably pause the video here. Okay, and what you've got to be careful of, and this can be, and what I'm doing here, I'm checking my anchor chart. Now let me pause this for a moment. I trade in the direction of a higher time frame. Okay, and that's one of the great secrets to my success, is I'm using a higher time frame. I've discovered a formula of entry chart, which is what we trade on, to the anchor chart 1 and anchor chart 2, that is the increase in time frames we use on each of those, and believe it or not, it makes a massive difference. So here I'm checking the higher time frame for the trade overall trend direction, and of course I'm checking where the pivots are and things like that. Okay, so that's what I'm doing just here. I then go back, and you can't in real, I've jumped ahead there, but I've increased my targets here. And the reason being, I'm looking down here at the current day's open thinking, gee whiz, I could get back down here. Now here's the challenge. Now quite often here, if you increase your target, the market sort of breathes. It'll come down, go up, come down. So it's a double-edged sword. That is, yes, you can go for larger targets, but then quite often for stress it gives you, that is, I've got a mantra: get in, get out, get paid, get that cash register to ring. Meaning you'll usually see me scalp for a smaller target, okay, and get back in again. Now this is what actually happens here. You'll see in a moment that we were coming down quite nicely. Now by the way, 10 contracts is the maximum I will trade. Why? Comfort factor. Okay, young guns, different about, it's not just about the money traders. And by the way, I only traded a 0.5 to 1% risk, so I can add to a position, but I won't go any more than 5 contracts. I should just point this out, where I'm committing so much per contract. So for an example, just to explain this, on the YM I'll trade 8 lots. Why? Because I can trade the YM with a lot less money, but that's getting beyond this here. So let's just skip along a little bit here. So you can see here I've got a bit of a pullback here, okay, and we're coming back down again. And if you look at there, I've kept my stops right up there. Whoops, and I'm just going to this here, just explaining the members, thinking that I can be talking that stage, but I mucked that bit up. And you can see by maintaining my stop loss up here, I was mighty fine. However, for members watching this, as you can also see, we easily achieved our 5 steps. Okay, so if we were scalping for 5 steps, we'd be looking for additional entries. Okay, and just there as an example, what is that there? That's another 3B. Okay, so just there, and I was still in those trades, so I didn't add. So I'm just going back to that. Let's just get back to here. So that just there was the 3B. So 1, 2, 3. So I had my 3 trades. So let me just skip along just here. We then once again had as good as what we call a pivot bounce. Now remember on that slide that I showed you how important it was that you know where your open, high, low and close levels are, where your pivots are. This is the reason why. Okay, so here I'm yapping away here, talking to members, or think I'm talking to them and there's no sound. Okay, I'm just going back and just pointing out other trading opportunities. And then I had that big rally up. Now that's when I then stopped trading. Now by the way, for members watching this, this is a T12 setting up. So let's now minimize that and let's go to the charts, because there's a lot more I want to show you here. Whoops, wrong one. Where are we? There we go. Okay, so this is the trade. So I'd finished trading over here. I then rallied up. So right there for members watching, you had a T12 and another T12. Okay, so I effectively took this T12, and as you can see how flat we are, I've been having a pretty good run, but I also knew that, look, this is a really risky area. You don't mind if your EMAs are all like this here, traders, if they're trending, but when you're flat. Okay, so I came down, sold into those, which was an error, by the way. I just shouldn't have done it. I bounced. We then formed a beautiful double top, okay, and a further T12, and you had divergence, and I wasn't on that particular trade. So we came down, we had a pivot bounce, we rallied up, and then I had a 3B again. Now I jumped in this 3B, and my target, quite frankly, was to get back above $1,000. So I sold there, came down, pulled back, and then I had a beautiful T10 set up. Okay, so I had a T10, sold that. I was watching the meter and I got out basically at the pivot, and I was up, what was it, close to 15. Oh, there it is there, 14.24 after comms. So very happy with that. Now, what if you're a young gun and you want to keep trading? Okay, or what if you didn't start at this time? Now, I trade during the Globex session, which is the after hours market. So the market closes at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, that is the futures market, and it opens at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. Okay, and so we can trade after hours. Now, you don't have the volume, but if you're a 10 contract trader, no problem. Okay, if you want to trade 100 contracts, wrong time of day for you to be trading. And the other advantage of trading this time of day is the market is just ticking over. Okay, and when I say ticking over, that's not always true. Sometimes it can really speed up, but there's some great trading opportunities. So you get home from work and you can trade. But let me just show you what exactly I am looking for. So traders, what I'm looking for when I trade here is I'm looking for, like, just here. And for members watching this, 1, 2, 3, that was a T3 right there. So we've got, and the reason I give codes, because naturally there's a long explanation to why we've got these setups, but all of these are rules-based patterns. But note here how you bounced off yesterday's open and off a pivot. Note over here we're bouncing. So now we come up. Now I'm going to really give you some lessons here on how to day trade, because this is really what we're looking for. I want you to notice here that the EMAs are in a downtrend. Okay, so you can see here, and we call this a fanning of the EMAs. In many ways, day trading's like chess, because there's three things that happen. We could go short, we could go long, we can go sideways. Okay, so what I'm looking for is, as I'm rallying up, I'm expecting a bounce at any one of these levels. So you can see here, this is called the super scalp of the white paint bar, but that doesn't plot immediately. So what I'm looking for is the super scalp at a plot. Now when you see it, it's my short signal. Okay, I'm coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, right there. Now I wouldn't be in until now. Okay, so I'm going to enter the trade now. Now in taking this trade, and I wasn't on this one, remember, I'd hit my target now. But if you were trading, I want you to notice here that you've got a bounce off the pivot. It's also called a 3B for members watching this. With any trade you take, we always say, do we have blue skies ahead? And what I mean by that, we want to look ahead of this. What's in front of the trade? That is there anything there that we might bounce off? Well, we can see down here we do have a pivot. We do have yesterday's open. We did bounce, but we have pushed through. I did have a lower low. Remember what the footprints to a trend are: lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. You get some little micro moves in between, but basically that tells us we're going to look for a short. Now I look for the next major swing low. Now remember earlier I mentioned we want to know where our swing lower, and actually if I can easily pull that up, there it is there. So once again, where are our pivots? Open, high, low and close, 89 and 200, intraday swing highs and lows. And the reason we want to look for those intradays, not the minors, but the more significant waves or swings I should say, and I've got one right there. Okay, now you can actually we can go and put on and I just want to just quickly show you this. We can, if I go and do, actually probably pay me to do this other one rather than that one, so let me just show you this. And the great thing is now there are indicators that will basically plot and tell us where these levels are. This is just one version. Okay, so you can plot, you can make that a line, you can do all sorts of things there, and so just helps identify potential targets. Now remember I mentioned we're after 4 6-step trades or 5 4 7-step trades a day. Look how many steps there are in some of these moves: deeper pullbacks, larger moves. So let's just see how we would go if we entered now. Let's just say now 1 2 3 4 5. Now there we're not quite 5, little bit of a bounce. That's 5 6 7. Okay, so there we touch 7, and now I've got actually another entry. So remember, I mentioned we've got our 3B. I've got an exact same pattern as I've got here, so I've got another shorting opportunity, but that's 7, I think 8 9 whoops 10. That's $100, 110 120, and we've got a wee bit of a bounce just here. Now what are we now looking for? Now remember, I'm only after $200 a day to $250 a day per contract. Where that varies is if I'm trading a higher time frame and which is more capital intensive, bit beyond today's video, but on average you're after $200 to $300 per contract. Okay, so as I pull back here, guess what else I'm now looking for? And there it is right there. Okay, we've now got another short opportunity. Now this one is called a 2B. So this is a 2B entry. We may not be until now or even here, but we're in. By the way, I was going to say, even with that, if that went up again, I was going to say we're in. And I should point out, my stop goes one tick above. If I've got a runaway market and I use a market order, I will set a larger, I'll use a fixed stop. Okay, I didn't explain that correctly actually. When I enter, I'll usually have a fixed stop anyway, one tick above, but let's just say if I use a market order and my entry is down here, my standard stop is here. If I've got momentum, I'll just leave that stop just there. Okay, hopefully that made sense. So as we're coming down, okay, so there 1 2 3 4 5 6, there you go, 8 9 10. Okay, and look what's straight below us there, traders. Now as we're hitting the S1, now I can't remember what happens here, but as you hit the pivot, what are we expecting? You expect the bounce. You bounced, we finally pushed through. This is going to be my first bounce if it does. Now just remember, we could punch through, and what I always do is I always do this, traders. See down here we got yesterday's low and I've got another major pivot, so we got a strong trend here. We may punch through, but let's see. And we do. Oh, hang on, no, here's the bounce. My apologies. So we did get a bit of a bounce. How do I know? Because we see it every single day. Now just there for members watching, what you've got right there is a T10. So you've got a T10 long. Where would your target be? You've got angulation. You probably target up there at the pivot. So the pivot up there to the 89 EMA. Now I won't go to the anchor chart, but one thing I'd be checking, you'll probably find this is also a 1 or a 2D. Now as you approach your 89 and the pivot, what are we looking for? First of all, traders, what's the trend telling me? We are in a solid downtrend. I'm looking for a short up here, and I've got one right there. How do I know, traders? Because we get it. These patterns repeat day in, day out like clockwork. Now remember, I spoke to you about the swings. That swing there, you can see there, found a bit of resistance there. Where's our next major swing? Down here. So let's just see how we go. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Didn't quite touch 8. Now that was $80 per contract, by the way. 8 9 10 11, and guess what we're bouncing off? The support level. Now as we pull back, what are we looking for? The super scalper, and there it is there, a bit earlier than what I thought it was going to be. Where is our pivot? Well, down here I've got yesterday's low. Okay, so I'm looking, that is a great price magnet. 1 2 3 4 5 6, I think it's 5, isn't it? 6 7 8, and guess what I've got just here? I would definitely have divergence on the anchor chart one, by the way, and that means for me I've got a trade. Now all you want to do initially is trade with the trend. Do not CT trade. I love the T10s. I love counter trend trading. I've been doing this for 28 years now, so I've got a slight advantage over most traders, but I really recommend traders initially you want to stay right away from counter trend trading until you're consistently profitable. And even then, if you're a 5 lot trader or a 10 lot trader or 20, consider halving the number of contracts you trade initially. Okay, so what I've got here, I've now got a what I call a PB, a pivot bounce, and I'm going to target our 89 EMA. And I don't want to change. Actually, let me just do this. I've got to check to see whether this was actually, I have to know whether that's what we call, and we will finish up on this. So let me, yes it is. Okay, and you may be wondering what I'm looking at just here. Let me pull it down and show you. Okay, so just here, pivots and major support areas. If you've got divergence off these levels, great. They make fantastic points for divergence. Now remember, that's at 40 minutes past the hour midnight. Let's have a look at this. Whoops, come on, bring that down. So if we come down to here, so that's it just there. Now that is what we call divergence. See this just here, lower low on price. I'm bouncing off the pivot. And we're also bouncing off the low of day divergence. Lower low on price, higher low, and look what our next target would be. See the 34. So this is let me just drag that back up again. So I'm after a bounce there at the 89. And do you know what we'd be doing here? You betcha. Now I will point out that this is called a 2BD. This can be slightly higher risk, but if you didn't take that one, you definitely want to be in on this T10 just there. Okay, and you'd be looking at selling down to the support level again. Usually when we see this, by the way, for chartists that are watching this, we call this a descending triangle, of course. So traders, what you can see there is that, you know, trading with a trend, this is not difficult. The biggest thing is really mastering your mind. That is getting over the greed factor, being willing to follow the rules. These are the things that really let traders down. So many traders are just not willing to do that. And so where traders will say, the setups don't work, the only reason they won't work is if you don't do the work. That is, a trend bounce is a trend bounce. Okay, if you're trading with the trend with the right tools in front of you, you can, as you can see there, we can clearly identify our entries. Now, what percentage or how rules based are they? Look, I'd say 90% plus, but there's a couple of things you still need to do. You've got to check where are those major support resistance areas, and you've got to check, are you trading with the trend? So traders, I've given you hopefully a really good rundown. Come and join me. $197 for my entire program, once only, by the way, and you have lifetime access to it, and all the updates. And I also include 1 month of coaching, so you can attend the live sessions. And there's additional handouts and PowerPoints. By the way, there's over 35 PowerPoints for new traders. Don't worry, you don't have to go through them all, but for the serious traders that want to really learn how to trade with the trend reversals in chop. So I've really got the complete suite of indicators, of setups. However, if you're also just want to focus on trading with the trend, as you can see there, just a matter of sitting and waiting for those EMA bounces. So traders, I hope to see you as a member. Even better still, I'll see you on my next video. Thanks traders.